Hi, this is Ann with Graphic Design How To, and today is Graphic Design Interview Questions and Answers Part 6. So this is going to go a lot like a lot of the other interview questions and answer videos that I've done. My husband is going to ask me questions and pretend like he's the interviewer. Then I'm going to pretend I'm the interviewee and answer those questions. And then I'm going to give you some insights into what I think the interviewer is looking for. So let's get started. Question number 1.
Which graphic design program are you most comfortable with? And which are you least comfortable with?
I'm pretty comfortable with all the graphic design programs, but I would say Illustrator. I am very, very comfortable with that one. I was a production artist for a long time and we use Illustrator all the time, almost constantly. I do think each program has its strong points, so each program should be used the way it is meant to be used. For example, if I'm going to do a catalog, I'd want to do InDesign for that. So what is the interviewer looking for with this question? With this question, I think the interviewer wants to make sure that you use the program that they use the most. If you've never used that program, it's probably going to be a problem in your interview. So if you haven't used one of the main graphic design programs, definitely get that experience under your belt. Watch a few YouTube tutorials. There are websites out there that have great tutorials also. It's probably going to be important for any job that you interview with to know the 3 main programs. Number 2.
Are you okay with a client telling you exactly what to design?
I think every position I've ever worked in has had those clients who they just want to have a little more control. So they want you to do what they have in their mind. And of course, you're not going to be able to read their mind. So it's a lot of back and forth and a lot of, honestly, micromanagement. But I think as a designer, we need to learn to have a thick skin with that kind of thing. Of course, it's not a best case scenario when a client doesn't trust you to do the best design possible, but every position is going to have clients like that, whether they're internal or external. So I think it's important to make your clients happy. So what is the interviewer looking for with this question? With this one, I think the interviewer is wanting to see if you're okay with that type of client, because no designer likes the type of client who, doesn't trust them, is a micromanager and that kind of thing, but we all have to deal with that. And they're wanting to see if you will get frustrated in that situation or if you'll just accept it and move on. Number 3.
Do you think it's necessary to sketch your design before getting on a computer? By hand? Sketch.
Well, it really depends on the project and also how much time I have. So yes, best case scenario, I like to sketch everything out and then go to the computer, but sometimes we don't have time for that and I have to go straight to the computer. So what is the interviewer looking for? With this question, I think the interviewer just wants to know what your style is of designing and what your process is. If your interviewer is a creative, a lot of creatives think that sketching is a very, very important part of the process and they want to know that you share that value. Of course, be honest with them. So if you don't do that ever, go ahead and tell them that. But I would also mention that you're willing to change your process for the best result possible. Question number 4.
How many concepts do you usually come up with before choosing one?
Again, with this, it depends on the project. So if it's like a layout for a catalog or something, I might sketch 1 or 2 sketches before going to the computer. And then if it's a logo, it's going to be more like 25 or more sketch concepts before I go to the computer. Personally, I find that my best ideas will sometimes come later. And so I have to kind of flesh out what that idea is going to be, and having more sketches helps me do that. So what is the interviewer looking for? With this question, the interviewer might be worried about time. So if you're going to make 100 sketches, they might think, oh, this person is not the right person for our company because we don't have time to do that. So I think mentioning the fact that time comes into play with it is a good idea. But yeah, just be open and honest about your process. Question number 5.
How long would it take you to plan, design, and complete a Google Web banner?
Well, that really depends on what the web banner should end up looking like based on my sketches. Some of them will use photography or vector art or illustration, and those things take a long time to create. So if those are already created, like using stock vectors or stock photos, I could probably have a Google Web banner completely designed and completed in maybe 30 to 45 minutes. If it's a more templated design where I just plug things in, it'll probably only take about 10 minutes. So what is the interviewer looking for? With this question, I think the interviewer wants to find out how long it takes you to do a specific project. And this really does vary from designer to designer, but they're probably wanting to see how long it takes you compared to their current designers. Now with this question, I would absolutely be honest, because you don't want to get in the situation where you actually get the job and then you cannot deliver on what you said you could do. So definitely keep it honest like you would with any other question. All right, that's my video for this week. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you liked it, please click the like button, and I will see you next Thursday. Thank you, everyone.